What's up, guys? Our Thoughts podcast here again with your boy Matt and your other boy Chesco on the other line.
Two faves. What's up?
We back. This video is going to be a little bit different than a lot of the other videos we've made. Obviously, if you read the title, it's about Frank Ocean. It's about allegations against Frank Ocean, which is something I don't think I would ever have to say in a sentence ever in my life.
Right now, I've tears in my eyes while I'm pointing the gun at him.
I know. You know, as much as we are Weeknd fans, there's a lot of you guys here. We are big Frank Ocean fans. And even though we are big Frank Ocean fans, sometimes you have to be able to separate the art and the artist and keep people accountable. But before we get into the big scandal, you know, obviously the very title of this video, let's just kind of get a rundown as to why Frank is back in the headlines, why Frank is back in the conversation, and why some fans are upset at him for coming out the way he did after a little bit of a hiatus of not saying anything for a while. But right now, the latest that we've heard is, you know, obviously Frank Ocean, he's released this new luxury line called Homer. It came with like a magazine catalog, which was really cool. It had all these different images of like all the chains and the pendants and stuff like that. I mean, some of them ranging from like $500 to like $500,000, like some insane luxury pieces.
Yeah, so there's no online store, I believe, right? It's all in-person magazine catalog type thing. Okay.
Yeah, you have to buy it in person and you have to make an appointment to even go to the store. So that's how you know it's like not, you know, just retail. It's a luxury brand that he's trying to create a status around. Obviously, fan reactions to this and hearing about Frank Ocean's latest ventures, some people were really interested. They're really excited that Frank Ocean was back in the limelight talking again, but a lot of them were definitely disappointed and even really upset. Where that sentiment comes from is what happened with the whole debacle with his own merch line that this whole video is actually about. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, we just want to put a disclaimer. This video, this is not a cancel Frank Ocean. This is not like we're trying to light a fire under his ass or something like that. Like, we are Frank Ocean fans, obviously. If you look behind me, I don't know if you can see, but that's a poster of Frank Ocean on my wall. So
yeah, we're still going to be listening to the music. We're still going to be supporting the artist, liking all his posts. Like, it's really nothing personal. It's really just, this is a conversation we have to have.
And talking about the situation, obviously, like I said, that Frank Ocean interview came out along with his release of his new Homer luxury brand and all, you know, $500,000 chains, all that shit. You would assume most Frank fans were a little let down the first time. Frank does an interview after a long time and he doesn't discuss anything about music. He doesn't discuss anything about his return to the Coachella lineup in 2023. And he obviously didn't discuss anything about the silent minority within the Frank Ocean community who demand answers and clarification about a repeated pattern of sketchy business practices, broken promises, ignored refund requests, you know, all of these things that the Blonded team, Frank Ocean's company, has refused to acknowledge for the better half of the past 2 years. Obviously, these allegations are not small. You know, so a lot of Frank Ocean fans on the Frank Ocean subreddit, to be specific, are calling him a scammer, calling him, say they felt played by one of their favorite artists. You know, and to make matters worse, Frank Ocean releases this brand. He just made a shit ton of money off his merch sales. And now he's coming out with this new brand with items that his own fan base can't even afford. So it's like, who is he even catering to?
It's a bad look. Yeah,
it's a bad look. You know, and as a Frank Ocean fan, it's like, I kind of want to dig deeper into this and figure out what exactly happened and where Frank Ocean lost the trust of his fans, pretty much. All right, let me take you guys back. Yeah, there's a little bit of there's a timeline that's important. So this is, let's go all the way back to October, November-ish, 2019. This was 2 years ago.
Wow. Pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I was still going to school. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a throwback. Wow.
It's like a different lifetime 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, Frank Ocean released pre-orders for a bunch of merch items on the blonded.com store. You know, these merch items included vinyls of a lot of his songs, you know, Cayendo, Dear April, In My Room, DHL, Little Demon. Alongside those vinyls were also actual merch, shirts, sweats, boxers, phone cases, a bunch of stuff dropped on the website. And obviously all this stuff like sold out, completely.
Yeah. This was the first first wave of music we'd gotten since Blonde. So it's like, wow, this is a new era. Yeah. So there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement. So of course it was going to sell out. Of course it was. Yeah.
Obviously, the website did say all of the merch were pre-orders, and that they were going to be shipped within a 8 to 12 week window. That alone is kind of a long time, that's several months. 12 weeks, that's a long time. But they're
like, a red flag already.
But I mean, speaking from personal experience, I have purchased an item off of his website before. This was way back. I purchased an Endless vinyl. I was sent a confirmation. I was sent an email saying you'll get your item in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm like, okay. Cut to 9 months later, and the vinyl eventually gets to me.
I'm sorry, you said 9 months?
Yeah, 9 months later. Already there's a lot of discrepancy when it comes to the shipping and fulfilling of orders with Blonded that I personally have a lot of experience with. Hearing that things were getting a little fishy, people weren't really getting any confirmations. That 8 to 12 week window went by very quickly. And fans on the Frank Ocean subreddit, continued to make posts like asking like, yo, did you guys buy this? Like, I bought this vinyl, I bought the Cayendo, I bought in my room. Like, are you guys getting any confirmation? And people from all over the world, they're like, I'm in Denmark, haven't gotten anything. I'm in the UK, nothing. I'm in Texas, haven't gotten any sort of glimpse of shipping or confirmation or a tracking number, anything like that. This is after, I would say about 9 months after, sounding a lot like how my Endless vinyl was happening. People were getting frustrated. I was on the brink of honestly issuing a refund myself for Endless. Obviously, thank God it came to me eventually. 9 months have gone by. I haven't received any notice or anything. And so they began, issuing refunds. They would be sending very strongly worded emails to the Blonded's customer support, asking like, yo, like, you guys haven't fulfilled my order, or you guys haven't even said anything about any sort of delay. That window went by. Can I just have a refund if my items aren't going to be shipped to me? A very common theme that's going to run throughout this whole situation is that people were getting a lot of mixed messages. People are getting different responses, no responses, or just completely different responses altogether. At this point, an entire year has gone by without any sign of the vinyls being shipped out anytime soon. Fans begin to get really upset. Their patience have pretty much run out, and they try to do whatever they can in their power to get some sort of response or acknowledgement of these issues from Frank Ocean's team. So obviously, when I bring up this subreddit a lot, the Frank Ocean subreddit, the biggest fan subreddit on the platform. Even though it is a minority, if you think about like the millions of people who listen to Frank, they're still pretty big. There's still, I would say this is the hardcore fans within this community. So one Reddit user I want to point out is his username is Buds and Hops, also known as the FTC Dominator now.
Shit! Don't play with the FTC Dominator now.
Right. They submitted this long post entitled Blonded.co's multiple Federal Trade Commission violations. So this is like somebody pulled out the law, the rule book.
Slap the book on him. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so bringing up this post as we can go down. It's really long, but to summarize, there are several laws that the FTC has put into place when it comes to selling products online, obviously, that the Blonded team has explicitly broken. I'll begin with the initial purchase. Blonded Co. must have reasonable bias or basis for quoting the original shipping date. That basically means they need proof that they can execute these orders within that 8 to 12 week window, such as, they hold a sufficient inventory on hand or have adequate resources of supply to meet the demands of the product. Obviously, they did not at the time they listed these pre-orders. Although this sounds bad, it's understandable. A lot of people, they make things to order. You can think of your favorite, small clothing brand. They get a bunch of pre-orders, let's say 100 orders, and then they go in and they request that from the manufacturer or something like that. They have a little bit of leeway there, but they did break a rule in terms of, obviously, it seems like there is yet to be proof that they even have the product. And then moving on, when the seller learns that they cannot ship on time, when they cannot make it within that 8 to 12 week window, they have to either cancel the order and make a full refund, or if they decide to delay the shipping, they have to like seek the customer's consent, basically, you know. Either that's by email, or literally they can do by mail. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they have to notify the customer as quickly as possible that they are consenting to the delay of their order.
You want to know that you're gonna get it a little bit later, like,
right.
You know, that's understandable. Okay.
Yeah, and so in an event that no notification has been sent to the customer, then they have to provide a statement within the allotted time that they said they were going to ship, or at the minimum at least 30 days between the time that they realize they can't ship it in that time frame and when they notify the customer. Albeit this post came a year after those orders were placed. And that leads on to, this post says, the third infraction with the FTC states that the seller must revise the shipment date, and, you know, if the customer chooses not to wait, to have a plan or some sort of a process provided to give refunds, you know, anything like that. Obviously, Blonded had none of these things. They didn't have a plan. They didn't have any sort of notice. They didn't have any sort of pipeline to give you a refund, and they didn't have any update. They didn't even ask for consent of delaying. They didn't say anything. Legally, they must provide a reason for the delay. You know, I think if you have purchased something from Blonded and you didn't get your order, you legally are entitled to a complete refund. And right now, the way that Blonded was going about these orders is that they were illegally taking advantage of the consumer rights, which was not providing them a refund or even a chance to give a refund, or just ghosting people. So this post like blew up because people were like, oh shit, we're getting the FTC involved. Like, you know, like, people were trying to get some sort of answer, and it took literally bringing out the law to get the first sort of communication from the Blonded customer support at all since the entire process has been started, you know, 9 months, 12 months ago. And the original poster of the FTC violation post finally got a response after all this time, and the statement left by the fans. They got an email from a random Blonded support member saying that they were just a fan like everybody else, and they have no information on anything.
Guys, please, it's beyond me, guys, please. Like, don't.
Yeah, so like at this point, you know, fans are just exhausted. Like, they're so disappointed. Like, and it's a hard pill to swallow, thinking like your favorite artist, Frank Ocean, might have just stolen and ran away with your hard-earned money. You know, like without any sort of repercussion or any statement or acknowledgement that people are not okay with this. But it doesn't stop there. These are the more recent developments as of about 9 months ago from recording this, so about a few years after the initial merch drop. On the 1 year anniversary of the actual drop being out, this was last year, the Blonded team released an official statement, basically. Due to the events of this year, they're citing COVID, Frank will no longer be releasing the song that you purchased on vinyl. We will be refunding your purchase of this item, and any additional items in your order will begin shipping next week. If you have had a change of address since you originally made the purchase, please email customercare@blonded.co this week with your order number and new address. We are grateful for your understanding, and we are wishing you love, positivity, and health. Best regards, the Blonded team. This statement is regards to the single that I mentioned before, the Little Demon, which obviously never came out, and so people who bought that vinyl are never going to get it, and so they are either being canceled or refunded. At this point, there have been a few vinyls that have arrived, though. If you ordered Cayendo or Dealer April, those orders have arrived. People from all over the world are slowly starting to get some of them, but it kind of depended on what you put in your order. Like, let's say you bought all the other records and you bought Little Demon. Because they're refunding that, it's delaying it even further.
Wow.
The entire order. At this point, fans were looking to go to someone to try and shed light on this situation, saying like, look, they're not giving our money back, they're not fulfilling our orders, and now they're canceling the very items that we used our hard-earned money to buy. Another big post made by Reddit user The Villain on the Frank Ocean subreddit sent an email detailing this whole situation to a Pitchfork associate staff writer. Pitchfork being, you know, obviously the publication, talking about this past year or so of the vinyl debacle and mentioning the recent cancellation of Little Demon. The follow-up email right here from that Pitchfork representative saying, I've been talking with one of Frank Ocean's representatives about this, and here's the latest. first things first. They are telling me that all refunds for the canceled Little Demon 7-inch vinyl have been issued. If you bought one and have not received a refund, which a lot of people haven't, please reply saying as much as such and let me know which country you're based in if you haven't already. As for all the other delayed merch, we have been assured that every last item will be shipped today. Given the pandemic postal issues, I'm inclined to give at least a month before we assess whether or not this promise bears out.
So we're going to ship it today, but give us a month to make sure that it ships today.
Yeah,
this is basically what they're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
They're giving them the benefit of the doubt with the COVID, setbacks. But I will say these things went on sale in 2019. Like,
we are in 2021, I believe, last I checked.
Yeah. So they basically said, we talked to Frank Ocean's team, they gave us a statement, and we will follow up in a month, and if nothing has happened, we will write a story on it. So people were like, okay, like that's some progress. Other people were a little bit upset because they're like, why are fans receiving information about their personal orders that they ordered off of Frank Ocean's website from a Pitchfork representative and not Frank Ocean's team themselves? Really weird. And this comment by Reddit user The Stig2 brought up a really good point on the same post about the Pitchfork statement, saying that, quote, it seems that Blonde & Co. is more willing to talk to an established publication that's threatening to write a story about how horribly they've handled this situation than the customers who don't exactly have much leverage here. Even the fact that they were given basically radio silence from Blonded, and they have to hear back any glimpse of hope, any glimpse of information from a Pitchfork staff writer, like, it just shows you where their priorities lie.
It's the communication, I think, is what I'm seeing is the big problem here, is the lack of communication. Like you said, they're supposed to give at least a reason why.
Legally.
And even in their statements, even Pitchfork's, they're reporting back, there was never really an explicit reason given, no?
I know. I mean, they say, obviously, COVID, shipping delays. I'm like, now that it's very convenient that COVID happened around the time you're trying to fulfill all these orders. So, I mean, technically that is a statement of a reason, but I don't know. They feel like it
seems like a cop-out, or like...
Definitely a cop-out. That Pitchfork statement, that was kind of the last thing that people tried to do to try and get this issue to light, and just to try and get any sort of acknowledgement, not only from Frank Ocean's team, but from Frank himself. Obviously Frank, he doesn't talk to his fans, but it's like, look, this is your face, this is your name on this brand. Obviously you don't have it's not your hand filling out the orders, but it's still your face at the end of the day. And if people are upset with your brand and how your team is handling your merch items, I feel like you have to have some sort of statement, some sort of acknowledgement, like, look, I hear you, we're doing the best I can. And that could have bought them another 6 months of peace of mind, knowing that Frank actually cares about the discrepancies and the refunds and the broken promises and stuff like that. And so fast forward to today. As of recording this, it's been about a few weeks after Frank Ocean announced his new luxury brand, Homer. And, given the context that we just mentioned, people were really, really upset with the things he had to say in this interview. Finally, Frank comes out. He's had a really rough year, obviously with COVID and the loss of his little brother. And the only thing he really talks about is this new business venture, which is a luxury brand, and how he was so inspired as a child from luxury magazines, and how he dreamed of having a yacht, and how he has no problem going out to go to the grocery store wearing $3 million worth of jewelry on him. That's a real quote from the interview.
Wow.
And people were like, yo, like, anyone else kind of thrown off by this interview? Like, why is he talking about this? Like, I understand you're promoting the brand, but like, really?
Does anyone else feel like they're getting fucked right now? Like, because those vinyls, man, that merch, those sweaters, those magazines, they don't come cheap, man. It feels really shitty, and it left a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. There's a post by another Reddit user on the Frank Ocean subreddit. His name is Fluffy Carrot Yum. Nice. I like that username. To quote them, they said,
Personally, I feel like it's pretty polarizing. Your merch store ripped off fans. That's not an opinion. That's literally a fact. I get you don't communicate with their fans, but when you do your interview, I thought you could at least discuss it. If you want to be successful in other parts of your ventures, you need to make sure you're all good beforehand, and your fan base is not all good right now. And to see this topic and not address it, and seeing how you love reading luxury magazines as a child, and now you're developing a company for rich white people that no one else can afford, you know, like you left your fan base broker than they previously were, and you'll leave the ultra rich white people not even happy, but satiate their greed. Congrats. I thought somebody that looked like me would at least have the decency to address it in their next interview, not how they grew up wanting a yacht.
Yeah, hey man, that makes me think of Futura Free.
Mama, I should be paying them. I should be paying y'all, honest to God.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. There are other comments that I'll show that took different opinions, brought up different points. You know, you can pause and read them if you want to bring it back. You know, personally, as a Frank Ocean fan, as we both are Frank Ocean fans, you know, like, again, I don't want this to be, you know, let's cancel Frank, you know, boycott Coachella lineup, like, don't do any of that. Like,
put down the pitchforks, guys. We're good. We're good.
But we, as fans, as someone who's been a patron of his own website, that Frank at least needs to acknowledge what has happened to his loyal fan base for the past 2 years. You know, like, so much heartache and so much frustration, so much bad business has happened the past 2 years under his name. The fact that he doesn't even acknowledge it, and there's still a large amount of people who have either not received their refunds or not received their items, and he goes on to say, you know, oh, I'm so grateful that I can have a luxury brand, that I can have a chain that's worth $500,000 be for sale under my name. It's like, it's a bad look. And I think we just need some sort of acknowledgement. So if you or anyone else you know purchased something from Frank's site and have not received anything, or are still waiting for a refund, or have been completely ghosted, try and bump this video, try and forward your friend this video, and just for the sake of getting their voice heard, getting the issue to the forefront of people's minds, because he has millions of fans, and they don't know this happened to like a very core part of his fan base. And I feel like as we have some sort of a platform on here, I feel like it's our responsibility to use that responsibly. And it just sucks that moment had to come and correlate with one of my favorite artists of all time. It's very upsetting. And so I feel like we just need, you know, transparency and acknowledgement from an artist that we've loved for the past decade. But
and if you're out there and you have a story yourself, you know, please go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. We want to read it, and also to anyone else that comes across this video and wants to scroll through them, you know, they would love to feel, I guess, empowered, and you know, that they're not alone in this. Like, this is a whole big thing, and you should be empowered to say that kind of thing. And obviously there's a line to cross when when we talk about fan entitlement, you know, but this is really just bad business practice. But
yeah, that does it for our video. Definitely a lot to dissect and go through the whole timeline and the sequence of events. So appreciate you for sticking it out. Appreciate you if you didn't know the situation happened, that maybe we brought something to light, and that you're, you know, a little bit more informed about the situation that has been going on with a lot of people. If you are one of those people, like we said, go ahead and reach out into those comments, try and bump this video, try and get this issue out there so that you guys can get your merch. So that's all that we care about at the end of the day, is that the things you spent your money on, that you deserve to be shipped to your door. So yeah, that about does it. Appreciate you. Like and subscribe, all the good things down below. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and we'll see you next week. Frank, we need to hear from you. All right, peace out.